The review of phosphorus control measures in the United States and the effects on their quality. We're taking a look at the U.S. Geological Survey and what's going on with Water Resource Investigations Report. So what did they find? The mission of the U.S. Geological Survey is to assess the quantity and quality of the earth resource of the nation and provide information on assist in resource management, policymakers at federal, state, and local levels in making solid decisions. So one of the greatest challenges faced by water resource scientists is getting reliable information that will guide in the use of the protection of the nation's water resources. So what did they find? They did a review of phosphorus, seeing what's going on. So eutrophication was recognized as a primary water quality concern in the United States during the 1960s, as typified by the emerging water quality problems with the Great Lakes that captured the nation's attention. Lake Erie categorized being as a dead lake, and there were an estimated 10,000 lakes that were affected by eutrophication. Spurred on by public outcry, scientists and legislatures worked to identify causes and remedies. By the early 1970s, it was generally accepted that phosphorus was limiting nutrient responsible for the accelerated eutrophication in the majority of the lakes and reservoirs. And the remedies found focused on the control inputs of phosphorus to the environment, and phosphorus inputs to the environment had increased substantially in prior years because of increasingly used phosphate fertilizers and phosphate detergents. In order to quickly reduce phosphorus in the environment, phosphate detergent bans were enacted by some states and local municipalities. Although the efficacy of this remedy continued to be debated through the 1970s and early 1980s, and meanwhile the Federal Water Pollution Control Act of 1972, known as the Clean Water Act, was enacted. And billions of dollars were spent on the task of upgrading wastewater treatment plants to remove pollutants, including phosphorus in some cases, from the effluent. In the 1990s, the pollutants from wastewater treatment plants were reduced in efforts turned towards reducing non-point sources of pollution, including phosphorus inputs to the environment from sources such as agricultural runoff, and currently, 1998, there is limited information on a national scale concerning the status and success of the phosphorus controls. It would be useful for water quality managers to know how fully these remedies have been implemented and what the effects have been on water quality. And the purpose of the report is to review the history of phosphorus controls as they take a look at that. Now we can see in a graph here, the fertilizer, what's going on with that, and the source sinks. And then what we can see here is the different measurements of the phosphorus content of soils from 1940 to 1980 have shown an increase in recent years. For example, the average level of soil test phosphorus in Wisconsin has increased from 34 milligrams per kilograms in 1967 to 48 in 1990. In 17 states, more than half of the soils were rated by the soil test laboratories high or above phosphorus in 1998. Also, phosphorus concentrations in precipitation are generally low. But you can also see that it's causing eutrophication and that they do have some control measures here with the explanation and states that have enacted a ban. That being said, we can actually see states with phosphorus detergent bans right here, from Arkansas to Indiana to Georgia to New York to Pennsylvania, Washington, Virginia, Wisconsin, and even maps that show this. So are they limiting the effects of phosphorus? It looks like they are, but it still could be a problem. And it's always a good idea to have your water tested for phosphorus.